the benefits are supposed to be cut like tomorrow or something. So that is a pretty prescient matter. That seems to be a pretty prescient matter to many Americans, food assistance, because, America being the most powerful, most richest, most bestest country in the world, America being made great again naturally means that people have to be more food insecure than ever. People have to be uh, cut off from grocery assistance because that is exactly how America is being made great again. People are being, I guess, put on forced diets or something. Let me see. This video cannot be played. There's an error, of course. Brilliant.
In the last few days, the U.S. Department of Agriculture has made it clear that it does not intend to fund the SNAP program, the nation's biggest food aid program.
Yeah, because who cares about those who are food insecure, right? In the most powerful and richest country in the world, where the thought of anybody going hungry ever should be ridiculous and laughed at. But then again, in the United States of America, the thought of anybody being homeless should be a ridiculous notion and should be laughed at. The richest country. What a joke. How does that affect the American individual? I ask, I guess, naively.
If the federal government shutdown continues into November.
The fact that people need to rely on uh, such programs such as SNAP, people should never be going hungry. Never, ever. It should be considered unacceptable. There's some report that school children go to school hungry, therefore necessitating school lunch programs. It's ridiculous for a country like this too. There should be a robust governmental effort to make sure that no child or no adult goes hungry ever in the United States. That is what actually would make America great again, as opposed to just cutting these programs that people currently have to rely on to get groceries.
This is significant news for about 42 million Americans, about 1 in 8 people in the U.S. They rely.
1 in 8 people in the US rely on programs that assist them in buying groceries. Take that into perspective. Let that sink in.
On the program to buy groceries. The announcement has left food pantries and food banks.
Let that sink in. That is just horrifying. That is a horrifying reality.
Scrambling, as well as individuals, several of whom have told the Associated Press that if they don't have the aid, they're going to have to choose between groceries and other bills.
So they will have to go hungry. Translation. They will have to go hungry because the government has decided to abandon them. That is just how it goes. The United States, under Trump, I guess I should stress that, does not care about its citizens. And I guess those changes are supposed to come into effect tomorrow.
There had been a push for the federal government to use some contingency funds to pay to keep the program running in November. But in the last few days, the administration has made it clear that it does not intend to do that. We've seen.
Yep. Who cares about hungry people? Hungry people are poor people, and poor people are scum. So nobody cares.
A number of.
That is actually, unironically, what it is.
State governments say that they're going to increase funding for food banks to help out. Some have also looked into trying to use their own money to keep SNAP running for the recipients in their states, but they don't have sort of a technical mechanism to do that, which
Yeah, it is a big system. SNAP is a big system.
has been a major roadblock to that effort.
Yep. During a hearing over a requested by 25 Democratic-led states to keep the funding flowing, U.S. District Judge Indira Talvani told lawyers that if the government cannot afford to cover the cost, there is a process to follow rather than simply suspending all benefits. The steps involve finding an equitable way of reducing benefits, said Talvani was nominated to the court by the President Barack Obama. Talvani said she expects the later Thursday and seemed to be leaning towards requiring the government to put billions of dollars in emergency funds towards SNAP. That, she said, is her interpretation of what Congress intended when an agency's funding runs out. Well, that doesn't seem to be the case because it seems like the cuts to SNAP will come into effect. If you don't have money, you tighten your belt, she said in court. You are not going to make everyone drop dead because it's a political game someplace. Well, actually, it seems like the opposite is true. Yeah, people will have to, I guess, drop dead. People will have to go hungry because who cares? Tawani acknowledged that even ordering emergency funds to pay for SNAP might still be painful for some SNAP recipients because it could mean they get less money and that the money they do get could be delayed. We are dealing with a reality that absent a 100% win for you, the benefits are not going to be there on November 1st, she told the plaintiffs. Hearing came 2 days before the U.S. Department of Agriculture, blah, blah, blah. SNAP, which costs about $8 billion per month, serves about 1 in 8 Americans and is a major piece of the nation's social safety net, something that the Trump administration is very hard at work to dismantle. Word in October that it will be a November 1st casualty of the shutdown set states, food banks, and SNAP recipients scrambling to figure out how to secure food. Yep, American citizens scrambling on how to secure food. The richest country in the world, indeed. Indeed, make America great again. President Donald Trump's administration said it wasn't allowed to use contingency fund with about $5 billion in it for the program, which reversed the USDA plan for before the shutdown that said that money would be tapped to keep SNAP running. The Democratic-led states argued that not only could that contingency money be used, it must be. They also said a separate fund with around 23 billion could be tapped. And states cope with it. Maryland, SNAP recipients 693,496, 11% of state population, 11.2% of state population. Government was more declared a state of emergency on October 30th and made a $10 million available to food banks and other organizations. A nice gesture. Although the states requested the funding continually in their jurisdictions, the judge indicated that any ruling would apply nationwide, saying it wouldn't be fair to treat recipients differently depending on which state they live in. It is hard for me to understand that this is not an emergency when there is no money and a lot of people are needing their SNAP benefits. So there you go. People are just going to be hungry. Hungry but not starving. I mean, possibly starving, but nobody has ever died of lack of food, right? Nobody has ever died of starvation. That has never happened before. So it's all gonna be fine. It's okay. It's all good. America's finally becoming greater again. Finally. It's all good.